Today's podcast is sponsored by Kevin Feely Athletic Therapy, helping you in all matters related to pain, injury, and athletic performance. Bookings can be made through the website at www.kevinfeelyathletictherapy.ie. Thanks to Kevin for sponsoring the podcast, and I will leave the links to the website and social media accounts in the video description. So John, thanks very much for coming on. How have you been finding the last 2 or 3 months in lockdown?
I suppose it's been tougher and weird. Trying to get used to know hurling and football and soccer, whatever, everything on the telly as well, But I suppose you just kind of have to get on with it at this stage. We don't know what's going to happen or when anything is going to be back, so you just kind of have to keep taking it week by week and kind of day by day.
Yeah, is the uncertainty nearly the worst part of it, that you just don't know when you return to action?
Yeah, that's the thing. If you actually had an idea of what was happening or what was going on, you could maybe try and plan or get a few things in place. But because you don't know what's going to happen, you just kind of have to just get on with it, and that's all.
Would you be against the behind closed doors scenario if that was the only way of playing this year?
I don't know about being against it, but I don't think it would. I don't know. They wouldn't. Like inter-county hurling is all about atmosphere, and I don't think if you were to rock up in a match in the middle of August, or not August, September or October with nobody there, you wouldn't exactly get the same buzz as what you would if there was 40,000 people inside in Semple Stadium or Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Yeah, it's probably even hurling more so than even football. You can just even feed off the atmosphere, it's so quick, the game, and I'd say it plays a massive part in the actual game itself.
Exactly, yeah. If someone makes a big catch or something like that, and or scores a point or a goal or something like that, the boost that you get off the crowd is probably one of the not the best things about GA, But if you were to play that behind closed doors, it might have to come to that, but it wouldn't be the same feel for any player, I don't think.
Yeah, so we'll move on to Tipperary. You won the All Ireland Under-21 title, was it in 2010?
2010, yeah.
What was that feeling like, getting your hands on your first All Ireland medal, if you like?
Yeah, I suppose I was only after turning 18, so I was just out of minor, so it was kind of a new experience, and then to be playing on that team with there was 10 senior panelists on that team, so to be playing with them, it was a fairly surreal thing at the time. But sure, it was great. The lads had after winning the senior the week before, and then 6 days later, then we went on and won 21, which was quite a good feat.
Do you feel the pressure nearly from the likes of a county like Tipperary, to, especially even underage, to come through and win All Irelands and then go on to the senior team and again win All Irelands at senior level?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. There's an expectation there every year for Tipperary to win an All Ireland, or at least get to it anyway. It's noticeable since the minor has went under 17. Tipperary is expected to get some Munster finals, All Ireland finals in every age group, So there is an expectation there, but I don't think it's a pressure feeling at all.
Would the minor under-21 championships just be enjoyable to play in? Would you have been given that bit more freedom than you would have been given nowadays, maybe in senior?
Yeah, they were very enjoyable, especially when you're 16, 17. You're playing with a load of fellas from all over the county. It's very enjoyable. I think the under-21 grade is probably the most enjoyable grade, because back when I was playing, it was straight knockout. So you win, you're through. You lose, you're gone. That's it. You could be training for 4 months for one game. Well, luckily enough, the first year I was there, we won it. Second year, we got knocked out in the Munster semi, and then the third year, then Clare beat us down in Ennis Park in the Munster final. So the under-21 grade would have been the most enjoyable, because there's not that much pressure. You're trying to maybe show off and impress the management of the senior teams and stuff like that. So that's where you kind of do your best hurling.
Yeah, and then I think you came into the senior panel, was it in 2013 then?
Yeah, so I would have been on the senior panel, the extended panel, in kind of maybe 2010. Just Liam brought me in for a couple of challenge games and stuff like that, just basically making up the numbers. And then in 2011 and 12, then I decided that I just concentrated on under-21. And then in 13, then when Eamon O'Shea took over, I came in then.
Yeah, what was it like just coming in? Because I'm sure you've been watching these players through the years, and now you're training and playing with them.
Oh yeah, so that's the thing. Like you come into a dressing room and all of a sudden you're looking up to one of the greatest hurlers of all time, Owen Kelly, and you come into a dressing room, then you're sitting there beside him having a chat, like But the likes of Larry Corbett as well, and all these lads, So it was a fairly surreal feeling, but you'd have to cut off that feeling fairly quickly if you want to stay involved.
Yeah, you probably say then 2014 was kind of the first big year, if you like. You lost was it the National Hurling League final to Kilkenny, which would then obviously you meet them again in September. But what was it like losing that league final? Did it put you off at all going into the summer?
Not really, because after getting knocked out pretty early in 2013, there wasn't exactly too much expectation on us. So to get to the league final, it was the way we were kind of looking at it was the more games you have before championship, the better. So that kind of gave us the launch pad then to go on in 2014, then to try and compete then at an All Ireland final stage, because the year before Kilkenny beat us in Nolan Park, so we didn't exactly have a stamp on the championship. So we kind of just put our shoulder to the wheel and went at it.
Would it be fair to say maybe from the hurlers anyways, that compares to footballers, maybe the footballers can concentrate a bit more on the league, and then the hurlers are kind of just building to that Munster Championship come May, maybe?
Yeah, see, that's it, because the Munster Championship is so tough. You have to be prepared for it, and the more games that you have in the league is going to prepare you for that, and that league final, like nearly one of the best games that I've ever played in. But to go in and play a league final against Kilkenny and in that atmosphere, and then I think it was 4 weeks later in the first round of the championship, you couldn't have any better preparation.
Yeah, and then you ended up in the All-Ireland final then September against Kilkenny again. Your first sort of All-Ireland final. What was the build-up like to that, and sort of the nerves maybe you might have had going into that one?
Very, very little nerves now, to be honest. I wouldn't be one for getting nervous anyway. I kind of just have a fairly relaxed character in preparing for matches and getting and in the dressing room and stuff like that. You have your certain players in the dressing room to do that for you. But the atmosphere around us was brilliant, But again, I suppose the expectation going in was fairly slim, considering Kilkenny were thereabouts for the last maybe 10 years, So, but we went out and unfortunately we left it behind us, and then lost the replay, But look, them things happen. You have to lose some to win some.
Well, yeah, that's it. I mean, it was a great game to watch, and it was a good few questions were asked about that Hawkeye one. You had the chance to win the All Ireland final, and it was a fair distance. Did you think at the time once you struck it, because I think the fans nearly behind the goal seemed to think it was over, and no one knew what was happening then?
At the time, I thought it was over, but what I didn't realise was Paddy Maher was standing right behind me. And Paddy kind of knew straight away that I was fairly convinced it was over, but Paddy kind of knew that was after going wide, so he was just preparing there that minute, like he tell you himself, he was kind of preparing for a replay at that stage, But for me, and I think Noel McGrath came up to me straight away as well, and he was like, "Well, what do you think?" I thought it was over, but if Hawkeye wasn't there, probably would have been given you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was probably that 20 or 30 seconds nearly. It was just between the replay and winning an All Ireland. It was surreal nearly.
Oh, that's it, yeah. But sure, I was kind of after hitting a few long range frees well that day. So Shamey came out and had a look, and he kind of just said, "No, Bubbles is the long range free taker." So I just stepped up, and I was confident or whatever. But obviously now it's in the history books now at this stage.
Yeah, and then you ended up losing the replay. As you said, you probably might have left the first game behind you. What was it like sort of losing that one? I suppose it was very disappointing.
Yeah, I was very disappointed, especially after the first game playing so well, and maybe Kilkenny didn't play as well in the first game, and then the roles kind of reversed then in the second game. Kilkenny played a lot better, and we didn't play as well. So, and Kilkenny got over the line, which at that time they were fairly good at doing. They were good at eking out results, and they were very good at closing out games. Yeah, we kind of the first game left it behind them, but we didn't. But the minute that was over, we were back training on the Monday, and we kind of just felt right. It's still there for us, but the team that Kilkenny were back around then, they were pretty unbeatable, I think, around that time.
Yeah, on a personal note, you managed to win an All-Star that year, so it's probably something a year you look back with fondness in a way, and then disappointment as well.
Yeah, look, it's the end of year kind of award thing or whatever. Like it's nice to get them, but I think that night I was asked as well, like, what would you change anything? It was, obviously you change that All-Star award for another All-Ireland, but so as I said, wasn't to be, and to be fair, Kilkenny were more than deserving winners.
In 2015, then you won the Munster Championship. What's it like to play in the Munster Championship? Because it seems every game is so intense. All the teams are of a similar level. So what's it like to play in?
So that's the thing. Like back then, it was quarter final, semi, and final. Like you'd have to have 3 games to win a Munster Championship. But like, there's nothing better than going down to Limerick or going down to Cork, playing a Munster semi final, and lads hopping off you, and and stuff like this. But the Munster Championship is probably the most exciting championship to play in because it's so hotly contested.
Yeah, it's never seemed to lose anything like its touch, I suppose, with maybe the football. As you don't have provincial championships as competitive, but Munster Championship's always competitive every single year. Yes,
and even now with every team playing each other, it's even more hotly contested now because there's a home and away. Whereas before, it could have usually been like, if we played Limerick, it could have been in Cork, or played Waterford and Cork and stuff like this. But now the home and away is after making it even better. So the games are even more competitive now. Yeah, and that, I suppose you probably love the round robin sort of format, that you get to play games every sort of weekend. Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's tough going. Like you either play. Like, I think the first year we played 4 games in a row in 4 weeks, like, and like it's tough going. But like, any player tell you, you'd rather play 10 games in 12 weeks than 2 games in 12 weeks, like, Yeah, going into the Munster Championship, how much are you actually thinking nowadays about the actual title? Because you know that the bottom 2 are actually out of the championship. So is it about nearly just staying in the championship first of all, and then we'll see if we get into a final or not? That's the thing. Like the first year that I came in, we got knocked out, so it was a very disappointing year. But last year we just had a focus for, I think it was after the league. I think we had 6 weeks or 7 weeks or even 8 weeks until their first round, and it was just about that Cork game, and that's all. And try and get off to a winning start, and then after that, then you start concentrating on second game, third game. So it's just to try and you kind of target your first 2 games as 2 wins. Yeah. Try and qualify or kind of stay out with the bottom 2 or whatever, and then concentrate then on the second 2 games after that. Yeah, so then we'll move on to 2016. Then you got your first All-Ireland after losing the one in 2014, and you scored 1-5 in that game. What was that feeling like, finally get your hands on Lee McCarthy? Yeah, I suppose it was kind of slightly overdue for the group of players that we had, going from 2010 to 16 with no All-Ireland, 5 years, 6 years of a gap. Like, so it was more so, it was a satisfaction, but it was also a relief as well, because to finally get over the line, and again coming up against Kilkenny, same old time. You're not going to get any different in Kilkenny from Kilkenny, like, so we were just happy to actually just get over the line, really. Was it a mental thing maybe at the time with Kilkenny, that they had beaten you in a few finals and you just hadn't managed to get over the line? I don't think it was a mental thing. I just think that it was both teams have a lot of respect for each other, and every game was hotly contested. There was very little in any game between the 2 counties, and Kilkenny were probably just that small bit better in the previous years at closing out games, whereas in 2016, then we just got on top for that game, and that's basically. I don't think there's a mental edge or anything like that. You don't, especially at inter-county level, you don't think that way. It's kind of just you think about yourself. You don't think about the other team. You've been disappointed then not to follow that up maybe with another All-Ireland the next year then, or you had a few classics with Galway and they just came on the other side of that. Yeah, so like in 3 years we had. In I think 4 years we had All-Ireland semi-finals at Galway, and it was we win one, Galway win one, we win one, Galway. So again, it's kind of very similar to Kilkenny. Like, it was very nip and tuck between ourselves and Galway, and we were coming out on top and they were coming out on top. But I think that 17 semi-final, probably we didn't play well, so that was probably the biggest factor in the group. Say we knew we didn't play well in that game, and to lose the way we lost then was pretty disappointing.
What's it like playing in these sort of frantic games? Because the game just seems so quick. It's hard to nearly catch your breath when you're playing against the likes of Galway, Cork, Kilkenny.
Yeah, you actually don't realise it. Like, the game is 70 minutes, but it goes by so quick. It's madness, like how quick it actually feels, because the game is just so fast. Like, especially when it gets to we'll say Munster semi-final or final, and then into the All-Ireland, it's just getting quicker and quicker and quicker, and it's just pure crazy. Like, you don't exactly remember what happens in games until, like, if you're the type of person to go back and look at it, or your stats man or something sends you on stuff, like, you only realise then, Jesus, like 15 minutes in, I got my first touch of the ball or something like this, like, but the games are absolutely crazy fast. Like,
would you even say the skill level and fitness is improving year on year, and you can see that in the quality of matches, you say, in the last 3 or 4 years even?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's becoming more professional every year. So every team is trying to gain some sort of an advantage over the other, and every little thing, every team is trying to do it, and it's just about which team does that little thing that small bit better, and that's how teams maybe are becoming that bit more successful, and it's getting more professional, and getting it's getting tougher and tougher each year to keep that up, like.
Yeah, would you see, I know it's not professional, as you said, there has the professional sort of aspects to it. Would you see that as a negative or a positive, as a player, even training and playing?
Well, it all depends. Like, you're training basically 4 or 5 days a week, like, and to try and find the time then, and the other days that you're not training, then you're at home doing your stretching and your recovery and stuff like that, like, so it's getting harder and harder every year. But, like, it's either a case of if you want to do it, you'll do it. If you don't, you won't, like, and that's why, and that's what I think is, like, that's not the only thing that differs between a club player and an inter-county player is the inter-county player might be willing to do it, and the club players just might not.
Yeah, it's probably even creeping into the clubs now. Maybe the last 2 or 3 years, sort of strength and conditioning, even the fitness levels is required to play club football is even growing every year now.
Yeah, and that's becoming more and more competitive every year as well. Like, and every team is kind of getting stronger. And especially in the football, you can see in the football there, like Corofin, they're like an inter-county team in itself. So it's becoming more and more professional in each code and every level then as well.
Yeah, so we'll move on to last year then. Liam Sheedy came back. Was it a big thing, him coming back in? Obviously, he won the All-Ireland in 2010, and what sort of impact did he have on the panel?
Well, he had a big enough impact, all right, but it was more so kind of the lads that he brought in around him that kind of complimented him. Like, Liam was kind of Liam would organise stuff, and then as long as everyone else does what he wants them to do, that's basically it. Like, and so he didn't exactly bring any magic formula or anything like that. He just brought good lads in around him, and we were just feeding off them lads,
Yeah, it was a bit of a roller coaster year, because you started the Munster Championship brilliantly. I think you won 3-4 games comfortably, and you were looking like the standout team. And then Limerick kind of brought you back down to earth nearly in the final. They won comfortably enough. Was that a massive blow?
I don't know. Yeah, we kind of started very well, and then I think we kind of overbuilt towards the final maybe, and Limerick probably took a bit longer to get going during the year, and then when they hit the Munster final, then they were absolutely flying it, and any team that would have played Limerick that day wouldn't have won, like, So, but it was, losing the Munster final after winning the 4 games was a bit of a lull, but, like, you've no choice but to get back over fairly quick, because I think we were out 2 weeks later then after that.
Yeah, did it work maybe in your favour that kind of it took a bit of the pressure off you, maybe, that people thought they were thinking you'd a standout team, and then suddenly Limerick had just overtaken you again?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Probably took pressure off. Say supporters wise, they probably came back down to earth a small, but we knew kind of like that we didn't perform on the day. Limerick played very well, and we just kind of needed to get going again and just got back down to basics, then back in training again.
Yeah, so then you comfortable enough win against Laois in the quarter final. You play Wexford, then they just won the Leinster final. You're down to 14 men. I think you're 5 or 6 points down. Like, how did you manage to claw that one back and get over the line? Was it just through spirit?
It's hard to know. It's kind of like GA is getting more like other sports, whereas you kind of prepare for scenarios, whereas you're a goal down with a minute to go or something like this, and you're a man down or whatever. Like, so we kind of, every team probably trains for it. You could be inside and training, you're playing 15 on 13 or something like that, and just to try and get used to it, and if it actually happens in the eventuality. So we didn't really do anything. We kind of just, I think the 14 players that were on the field just kind of said, right, it's do or die here. Like we're not going to leave, because we're after putting so much effort in earlier on in the year. We didn't want to just kind of leave Wexford run away with it, So, and then we just ended up coming out on top.
Yeah,
and I think our substitutions. I think our substitutions probably were the keyest people in it. Like, they came on and made a big difference. I think out of 5 substitutions, I think they scored 6 or 7 points. So it's a big contribution.
Yeah, would you even say experience counts for a loss as well? Because Wexford probably wouldn't have been in that situation, and then suddenly they're on the verge of an All-Ireland, where you've been in semi-finals, finals, and done that before.
I don't know. I think the experience thing could be overplayed, because Wexford were just after beating Kilkenny in the Leinster final. So they had the experience of doing it. I don't know. It's hard to know. Yeah, we had a good bit of experience of being in finals, but then at the same time, we had a lot of new guys as well, and a lot of younger guys. But maybe our younger guys playing in All-Ireland finals and winning All-Ireland finals underage probably stood to them after coming in, making an impact off the bench and stuff. So yeah, you could say experience, but then I'd say I just say our substitutions kind of just our substitutions worked out better than maybe Wexford's did.
Yeah, so then you end up against Kilkenny in the final again. Obviously, Richie Hogan got sent off. Kind of compared to you, then they nearly collapsed, if you like. How big is it to lose a man in a game like hurling that's so quick and everything?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It could go either way. Like in the semi-final, it worked out for us, and then in the final, then it obviously didn't work out for Kilkenny.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of it's just the way the ball rolls, really. I think, like, I don't think it's a mindset thing or anything like that. I just think it's how people react maybe to it, and in the final we could have reacted differently to Kilkenny going down a man, but we actually kind of just drove on even bit more. So that was probably the most satisfying thing of the whole thing, that we actually drove on after them going down to 14. We actually picked it up a bit instead of taking the foot off the pedal. Yeah,
do you really think you might have not got the credit you deserve for the actual performance of the game? Maybe that people thought it was only because Kilkenny had the man sent off, but you drove it on and you took the game out of sight.
Yeah, maybe. It's hard to know. Obviously, it could have been a completely different game if Kilkenny had 15 men, because I think when Richie did get sent off, I think Kilkenny could have been even up a point.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure on that now, but we just come out in the second half and just kind of went shoulder to the wheel, and maybe if Kilkenny had 15, maybe it would have been different. Maybe not. Like, it's hard to know. No one can tell any different. Like,
Yeah, so with the A and B every year, then for a county like Tipperary, the All Ireland, to win the All Ireland, is that the aim every year?
Oh yeah, well, it's the aim of the players, but it's the aim of the supporters, and it's kind of for a county like Tipperary and the amount of All Irelands they've won and the size of it and the hurling tradition there, it's always going to be, like, I wouldn't say a failure if you don't win it, but if you're not close,
yeah,
everyone will be pretty disappointed, and we'd say last year or 2 years ago in 17 and 18, when we didn't get there, so there was a lot of pressure. the following years then on the players and on the management and stuff, like, you know. So it's tough with the pressure, but you either live by the pressure or you suffer with it, like, you know.
Yeah, so we'll move on to a few of the questions people sent in, and thanks to everyone for sending them in. One here saying, what was your favourite match that you played in?
Jeez, that's actually hard to know. I think my favourite match that I played in was probably one that we lost. It was probably the Munster under-21 final against Clare in Ellis Park. I was captain, and this Clare team were an up-and-coming team, and we were literally a minute away from walking out with our backyard with the Munster Cup, like. But they got a last-minute goal and they ended up winning. But that's probably the highlight game, I'd say, that kind of stands out for me, really.
What would have been your favourite score that you've scored in a match?
Favourite score that I scored in the match? I think my equalising point against Kilkenny in the 14th final. I think Noel McGrath hit me a crossfield ball, and I just picked it up, and I think I stepped Owen Larkin and thrown it over from, I think it was maybe 10 yards from the end line out near the sideline. So that could be one of them.
We'll nearly combine two here. So it was like, who would be your toughest opponent and who would be the toughest player to mark in training?
Toughest opponent, see, there's so many. Paul Murphy from Kilkenny obviously stands out there. I think Aidan Hart from Galway as well is probably another one. And the toughest opponent in training then would be probably Ronan Maher.
Would there be a player that you would have looked up to in your younger days?
Well, obviously it would have been Owen Kelly. So we're similar enough in the positions that we play and stuff like that. But then for my own club, and he used to train Tipperary as well, would be Declan Fannin. He would have been a fairly big influence on my career. He started hurling with Tip at a kind of later age than some players would or whatever. And yeah, I'd say Declan would be up there.
One here says, where did you get the nickname Bubbles from?
I think everybody knows that now at this stage. When I was born, I had hairy legs and big head of hair and hairy back and the whole lot. And I was just after coming out of the womb, and my mother says that he looks like Michael Jackson's monkey. Michael Jackson's monkey is called Bubbles. So.
Advice for players taking frees.
When you have your routine, stick to it. Even if it starts going wrong or you have a bad day. Just because you have one bad day doesn't mean that the routine is wrong or is broken. You just need to get back down, get the confidence up. And I think one of the most important things for a free taker is your first free, no matter where it is on the pitch, you go with it with a conviction and with a confidence that you're going to put it over. And I always say, if you score your first free, you'll always nail 9 out of 10 after that.
Yeah, is it even a confidence thing, I suppose, as well, that you just get off the
wire? More so a confidence. Yeah, it's a more so a confidence thing than anything else. If you're confident in your own ability and confident no matter where it is that you're going to score it, you have a 90% chance of getting it. If you're walking up and you're thinking to yourself, "Oh Jesus, this is a hard free," you're more than likely going to miss it.
Who would have been the best player you've played with?
Owen Kelly.
And finish up. Someone just said, what hurls do you use?
Jim O'Brien in Drangan in Tipperary. He'd be one of the best now. He's been supplying me for a good few years, and he supplies a lot of lads. But yeah, it would have been always Jim O'Brien. Yeah.
Well, we'll wrap it up there. John, thanks very much for coming on.
No bother at all. Thanks, Dara.
And keep an eye on the channel. More videos coming soon.